here we are, the Detroit Lions. Bad luck continues. I'm the Doc, John Macaroon. My goodness, if you're in the chat, you know we're going to talk about three big things already broke, probably as we're recording, doing this live. There's probably going to be some news maybe made by Tate Ratledge. The second round picks are starting to sign, even those that have held out. But everybody knows the injury lists have now popped out. Of course, the Detroit Lions would reveal the PUP list before they sign Tate Ratledge. Listen, it's one of those deals where it's just another thing for Lions fans to have to deal with. And look, we're going to talk about, here's my agenda for the next 30 minutes or so. First and foremost, thanks for everybody that's paying attention. Listen, hop in. Let me know what you think about Levi Onwuzurike's injury. Is it one of those deals where you look to Brad Holmes and you say again, man, why do you keep committing to players that have this prolonged history of injury? And before even day one of camp, he's already on the PUP list and there's ramifications already. Aidan Hutchinson is going to get paid. Just like I've said in several interviews, we now understand that, all right, he should wait. And one of the dominoes fell. TJ Watt got paid. And clearly we know Aidan is going to jump that. Now, the question mark is going to be what happens with the Bengals defensive end. But we all know what the ramifications are of the TJ Watt deal. We'll talk about it. Should the Lions wait? Should they make a different kind of move? Should they wait until the next offseason to take care of Aidan Hutchinson? I got an opinion on that. And Ndamukong Suh, on top of everything else, he needs to, he's doing the podcast thing, so you know what he's doing. He's got to make noise. And of course, he caught my attention. And of course, I have an opinion on it. And Ndamukong Suh was right. Absolutely. And what he said today, right there to the world. And I think people have known it for quite a while, but he said it publicly on video, and the doc agrees. Ndamukong Suh, I'm biased because I'm a guy that focuses a lot more on defense, but I was 100% in agreement with what Ndamukong Suh said. I'm curious. If you have a comment, let me know. I definitely would like to interact with the chat. But first and foremost, the Lions' bad luck continues. I think that a lot of people are saying, hey, Lions, can you kind of throw out that Darius Smith got signed or Tate Ratledge signed? But 9 players end up on PUP lists, and a couple of the names you guys know already: Aleem McNeil, Malcolm Rodriguez, Mekhi Wingo. Those guys are players that were hurt and were not going to be available to start the year. But the 2 names that caught everybody's attention, Taylor Decker and Levi Onwuzurike. Now, Taylor Decker can return at any point. You could hear the news as early as Friday, Saturday, when vets report that he's off the PUP list. But the name that already is disappointing everybody in that your defensive line was going to be key. You have a new defensive line coach. And, of course, everybody's first thought this year, in a year that's going to be positive, is stay healthy. That's the goal. Stay healthy. And you can't even get Levi Onwuzurike, who's on a prove-it deal, to stay healthy beyond the first 24 hours after rookies report. Can we get 24 hours? Not even 24 hours. The Lions got to already deal with defensive line issues. And yeah, you got to count on your reserves. You got to count on the players that you believe are, the backups there to step up. But you lost a player that was expected to do things. But maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I had a feeling like, hey, maybe Levi would have been somebody that would have been available. But no, that's not the case. And you're right, Mark. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that, Levi Onwuzurike out for the first month. Preseason's gone. Not participating in the first month of the season, which is key. I think the first week he's eligible to come back is week 5 against Cincinnati. Absolutely disturbing, concerning. You need those bodies. You need Josh Pascal to be there. You need everybody to be healthy. That was the key. That was the hope. We'll find out, this weekend what ended up happening to Levi and what caused the month concern, the being placed on the PUP list. Taylor Decker, you hope that it's nothing too long term and will come back. But it's just unfortunate that one of the things that people really look at with the Detroit Lions is, okay, what's going on with the health of the defensive line? And it's just unfortunately, and then Josh Pascal. I mean, literally 2 players that you would not expect to be on that list are already back on an injury list. But you hope that for Josh Pascal, he can get back quickly. He's on a reserve active list, so he has a chance to come off pretty quickly. But for Levi Onwuzurike, it's guaranteed. He's out for the preseason and out for the first month of the season. And it's a key month. You have some big games right away with the Packers and the Bears. And your defensive line got weak today. Now it's up to Brad Holmes to make sure that things are better. We don't know what happened to Taylor Decker. It just broke literally half hour ago. And we've been writing and creating the videos to post on Detroit Lions on SI. So we'll find out. It could be something short term. I would think at this point with an offseason that it should not be something that's too terribly long, but we'll find out. But, Steven gets in. I'm amazed that Levi can even play in the NFL with the back injury he had. No one has ever had the surgery he had and played in the NFL after. Yeah, it's unfortunate. That's what you were hoping for, was that, that he would come through and be able to, that's why I think a lot of the writers and myself included overvalued what he was going to get. I thought he was going to be somebody with the burgeoning defensive line market was going to get north of $10 million. But unfortunately, because of the fact he hasn't been available, I hate it. I hate this for the start of training camp. Second round curse maybe continues with Levi Onwuzurike. You hope he can come back and stay healthy throughout the big portion of the season in the second half when after the bye week there is an easier stretch. But it's you got to count on Roy Lopez. You got to count on a rookie, Tyleik Williams, to get after it. You guys are exactly right. Those are two guys that are going to be counted on. DJ Reader, a veteran as well. It's just unfortunate because I love the idea of a healthy defensive line. If they're there, the idea is there. But right now, it's always on paper. It's always on paper when we talk about it. And that's why I'm always here to say, on paper, we got to be concerned, maybe a little bit cautiously optimistic. But this is unfortunate, not good news. I'm curious what you guys think. What's your reaction to it? Are you still in the calm down mode of like, it's okay, it's still early? I just get frustrated because you just wanted to see the healthy team compete. You want to see Levi go up against Tate Ratledge. You want to see him go up against Miles Frazier. Miles Frazier's even on the list. You hope it's just off-season conditioning for him and he gets back off that list pretty quickly. So it's disappointing, frustrated, I think all of you are. But you're absolutely right. The one person now you got to turn your attention to is Brad Holmes. He has not done well enough to target healthy defensive linemen. And two of them are already out. Two already. Not even, literally not even 24 hours. We haven't even gotten the photos yet. Why aren't the photos yet being posted of the rookies for the Detroit Lions who have been at Allen Park? Why aren't they taking any photos yet? I haven't seen. But since Wednesday, there's no photos on social media from the Lions. They have cameras because Tate hasn't signed yet. And of course, you think number 56 pick signed. Should have been done. Boom. I would have at least tried to sign him before all these injury lists. My goodness. Unfortunately, you have to report him. Tate Ratledge is not signed yet. I think I was thinking that, okay, once the 49ers did us a solid and signed a player that didn't take a guaranteed contract, boom, it should be there. The offer's there. You know the money. Just a little bit north of $7 million. It's going to be probably a couple $100,000 here or there. I foreshadow they're going to guarantee at least 80% of it. It should be done already. So one of those deals where I think you guys that have followed me, it might be that time for the BM movement. Do you trust Broderick Martin? It's tough, but with one guy going down, you're absolutely right. The BM movement starts. Broderick has a chance. Why not, Steven? If he's a competitor, take the chance. But right now it's tough because you haven't seen him. And the one thing that the coaching staff and Brad Holmes have said is consistency. So that means he flashes it, but at times does not. So it's frustrating. And so I'm going to give you my emotional reaction first, as you guys would presume. And then clearly you understand, okay, there are players that are going to step up. First month of the season, okay, you just got to weather the storm, be 2-2 and be okay. But man, I don't want to see another repeat of Baltimore whooping our ass. Saw that already. I saw Baltimore in the Dan Campbell regime whoop the Lions' ass. And then they had a game where it was close at Ford Field, but the kicker, Mr. Massage, allegedly, standing there in the press box watching a 66-yard kick just go ever so slow and then bounce in. So I don't want to see that. I was hoping for a fully healthy Detroit Lions defense that can get after it, get to Baltimore and take care of business. We'll see what happens. What do you guys think in regards to the defensive line? Leave your comment. Let me know. Am I overreacting? I just think it's just unfortunate that something that everybody's targeted saying, "Hey, upgrade, upgrade, upgrade," and you went back to two players that potentially just not in regards to the best ability that teams need is availability. And you hate to harp on it, but it's the same guys. So you hope that on the other front, other players can step up and handle business. Frustrating, best way to put it. You know what? I definitely am excited to talk about Ndamukong because I think I'm 100% in lockstep with what he said. But clearly, it's time to address. I think what everybody knows is that TJ Watt got his money. And that's what I was assuming. I was presuming that Aidan would wait. People were asking me in recent interviews, what do you think? And I know some reports are coming out that he was finalizing a deal. And I told my friends, no, he's not. He ain't finalizing squat until he ain't finalizing nothing because I am someone that would presume that Aidan's agent, thinking, I'm not thinking like Aidan or the Lions or Brad Holmes, I'm thinking like the agent. The agent's going to tell him, all right, Aidan, sit back. We wait. We don't make a move. We don't declare a single thing until we see TJ Watt, until we see Trey Hendrickson. Now Aidan has one domino. He's one guy away. One more contract away from getting a fat check. It's common sense, guys. It's not like it's breaking insider news here that Aidan is going to wait and see what the market dictates. So if he would have signed something for less than $40 million, it would have been stupid. And a guy like me would have came on here and been like, what kind of representatives are telling him to sign a contract for $37.5 million a year when his contemporaries are starting to get more? $41 million a year, and TJ Watt gets deservedly paid. That's great for the NFL. Now it's going to be a little bit interesting because Aidan is now getting paid. You know that Watt set the stage for Hendrickson maybe to take a short-term deal at 42, but I think that, now you can look at it and do the numbers. Here's the agent side of me throwing out, okay, if you want to get it done, Brad, here's the number I'm going to fax over. I see that TJ Watt gets north of $108 million guaranteed. I go, let's say $45 million times 5 years, because my guy's in his prime is $225 million. And let's be gracious and let's guarantee a little over half of that at signing guaranteed. And I want $115 million guaranteed on this deal. So no matter what, I get $115 million and 5 at 225. Others are telling me that he's going to take less. Are you kidding me? He's in his prime. All his teammates are saying he's going to be better this year. I was shocked. People are like, I was like, what am I in some kind of alternate universe? The man's going to get paid. The man led the team in sacks and he wasn't even there. So I don't know. My friends in the media maybe are tight, don't want to let go of the cash. But I think from an agent's perspective, you got to pay Aidan. And I think now you're one step closer to that happening. And I think that, okay, if you go 42, 43, we're arguing over a couple $1 million. But Aidan should be the highest paid, in my humble opinion. I would entertain if you say don't do it, wait and see, maybe wait an off season. I was entertaining too. I was almost going to write it, but it made no sense. I was like, if because you knew TJ Watt was going to come back to the Steelers, but just around the water cooler, you could have said, hey, if Aidan wants to win, you go to management and say, listen, I'll just play this year and next year on my 5th-year option. You pay TJ Watt the money for 2 years. If you can get him for 3, give it to TJ Watt. Give us a chance. Go out and get a player. But, TJ Watt was never going to leave, and that's unrealistic. That's the fanboy talking. So I look at it and I say, Aidan's getting paid, and now as I'm recording, my guy doing his thing already has the latest report out. What's the impact of Aidan Hutchinson? What's the impact of TJ Watt getting signed? And it's a big one. It's a big impact. You can go check it out now, Detroit Lions on SI. But what do you think? Let me know. I'm going to check the comments here. No, I disagree, Mark. If Hutch is 40 to 45 a year, he is gone. I think he values his own, Mark. I disagree. Um, I don't think they're playing 14 dimension chess. I think it's pretty straightforward. The market's going to set itself. They know, and that's why the moves weren't made for Garrett or for Crosby or Watt or any of the guys. They're like, this money's going to JMO. Um, this money's going to Aidan. And we got to think about JMO because he could be now, because of the Garrett Wilson contract, making north of 25 million a year if he has a great season. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I do think one of the impact has been the price of Jamison Williams going way up. So I look at it and I say, Aiden's getting paid. Get ready. It's common sense. It's nothing out of this world in terms of insider information. It just, in terms of negotiation, Aiden kind of strikes me, and as someone who's followed him and watched his career, that he's going to trust his representatives at a big company, his big agency, to give him the most money. He's getting paid. That's what he's doing. And I think he's worth it. I mean, I don't think he's going to. I can't believe, and this person hopefully says it on air. Someone tells me direct to my text, if Brad Holmes pays Aidan north of 40 million a year, it's a bad deal. I disagree. I mean, sacks are a premium. That's a premium position. That's the guy you trumpeted as the reason why you didn't go out and get better players. That's why you're pushing back on the doc who's on you all the time saying, hey, get better. We like Aidan. So that's why I believe that when those comments are made, the money's going to Aidan Hutchinson. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know at Detroit Podcast. Message and let me know. Now, this is my favorite comment, and I may be putting myself out there. I don't think it's a surprise based on how many of you know what I think, but thank you, Ndamukong. That's great. I think that Athletes Starting Podcast is wonderful, and everybody knows that when Stafford's deal came up back in 16, 17, whenever it was time to give him the money, I was on the airwaves saying, don't do it. Do not do it. Not that he wasn't worth it. Not that he wasn't a good player. I just formulated the opinion. I've watched year 4, 5, 6, 7. I've watched many years of this guy. It would be my assessment that if you paid it, you're not winning. That was a simple assessment. Now, people then made straw man arguments, and then they went to, could he ever win it, and things like that. And that's fine. But I looked at it like, you ain't winning a championship in Detroit with Matthew Stafford. That was my clear assessment. I wasn't shy to share it, wrote it everywhere, podcasted everywhere. Basically, in essence, tough on Matthew Stafford, because I didn't think that there was still the rate of him appearing in the playoffs with the Lions wasn't good. Now, it wasn't all his fault, but a big chunk of money went to Matthew Stafford, and he was getting paid, and at that time was market setting around $25, $26 million a year, or 27, in that neighborhood. I said, that was disaster. I wasn't happy with it. I just felt like, okay, you're probably alienating a player like Sue. You're probably, knowing the Lions aren't the best with talent evaluation, probably aren't going to get the marquee players. At that point, I was already starting, like, get some better players. Wasn't happening. Martin Mayhew with the disastrous decision with Eric Ebron. It just set everything back. And then once the 14 team made their move, it wasn't built upon, which was disastrous. That team had a chance if they were built upon. And probably the mistake that Bob Quinn will probably admit, if he ever does a podcast, if he ever can communicate his words publicly, is that he should have kept Caldwell. There would have been a chance to build upon the core of Slay, Quinn, Stafford. If you built around it, maybe even give yourself a better chance to get after it. Maybe. But Ndamukong Suh, what he says today and what he says publicly is, I should have been paid more than Stafford. Ndamukong, you're absolutely right. Defense wins championships. Defensive linemen get paid. Somebody that's violent and aggressive. That's the representation of the city that I would have liked. Ndamukong Suh was rugged. And he took some penalties. Yeah, he definitely got caught in a national stage doing his thing. But absolutely, I would have invested in the defense. I would have invested in a different quarterback, a mobile quarterback, an athletic quarterback. I would have. I haven't looked at which ones yet. I've kind of been enjoying this new wave of Detroit Lions football. So going back is a nightmare and annoying. So I don't want to relive it because I've already lived it once. And the three playoff appearances that Stafford had, the Seattle game, I remember watching it going, "Oh my God, this offense looks like absolute dog crap." And then the Saints game in the postseason, they didn't play their best. They had one game against the Cowboys where they looked like a team that could do something. And then the calls went against them. The SOL world happened, and it didn't work out. But my humble opinion would have been that quarterback was not winning. I don't know why they just felt like we have to invest in him. A lot of turnovers, a lot of games in which he was the part of the reason the defense was in trouble. Yeah, he had great games. He showcased his toughness. But I don't know. He never showcased to me that he had it. And maybe with the combination of management not being great at talent evaluation, if you're going to skip over Aaron Donald and all you can do is hit on guys that slap you right in the face with the number 2 overall pick and get a guy like Calvin Johnson, if that's the only way you can build a team, maybe it was never going to happen. But I would believe, and I could make an argument that a team led by a different quarterback with the talent that they had, if they moved on and said, you know what, we're going to make a firm decision, pick a rookie. We're going to pick maybe someone that we believe at that time, I'll go back and look which rookies were available in some first rounds. But what if they would have did that? It's an interesting debate. It's not one in which you can stamp out and just be like, well, Stafford deserved the money because it ended up, now we know it didn't produce a championship. It did, you can make the argument that, hey, it did produce now the reason why the Lions are winning. But guys, it's 5 years later. It's 8, 9, 10 years later. You could have been in the Super Bowl. You might have been able to build around Ndamukong Suh and Calvin Johnson and Glover Quinn and Darius Slay and Aaron Donald if you were able to take them. Could you imagine? Right there. Didn't happen. So I look at it and what you guys think. I do think it's a polarizing subject. I think that it's interesting that Ndamukong Suh now is coming out publicly and discussing it, saying that the identity of the defense was built around him, but that the team invested in the quarterback, and that's what they've done now with Jared Goff. I wonder, does that correlate to anybody in the chat? Did they pay too much for Jared Goff, being that he has one limitation in terms of his mobility in a game that is moving in the direction of mobile quarterbacks? Now, the mobile quarterbacks aren't dominating, but it's one of those deals that it would have been nice to see what would have happened if the team was actually built correctly. Get Stafford an offensive line, better running backs, making the right calls and not taking a tight end. Number 10. What would have happened if you would have picked correctly and not whiffed on some future Hall of Famers? What would have happened? It would have been interesting, but I just never felt like, I don't know what I was never enamored with, oh, well, Stafford has a big arm. I've seen Dan Marino. I've seen big arm quarterbacks, but you wanted to see someone just like a Tom Brady who didn't have all the skills, just for whatever reason, just come hell or high water was going to win a game. Do you think Matthew Stafford, if the Lions were down 28-3 in a playoff game, would have brought them back and win a game, let alone the Super Bowl? Come on. Never would have happened. I'm Team Sue. You should have paid him. You should have built around a defense. You should have kept the team together and built through a different quarterback. You might have had a chance. You might have had a chance with that core to do some things. And then you realize Darius Slay went on and gets a ring, handles business. You realize Glover Quinn went on and had a great career with Seattle. Sue, he took the money with Miami and kind of didn't end up doing a whole heck of a lot more with his career. So I'm fascinated. What do you guys think? Sue or Stafford? Let me know at Detroit Podcast. I'm very fascinated to I hope to get a wide variety. And look, I respect you if you say Stafford. I respect those that still say, well, he went to the Rams and won a Super Bowl. Well, he had one of the great coaches in Sean McVay, an offensive mastermind. Arguably, when you see the way he rose up the ranks, he's on the Ben Johnson level of offensive masterminds and was just looking for the final piece. That team was pretty stacked. And you could argue that Stafford, if he was, Stafford got lucky against the 49ers. Remember that. Tart. It was right there in his hands. Remember that. Stafford threw the ball to the 49ers. And the guy just I'm still shocked he didn't make the play. It's in your hands, bro. That's your job. Forced a turnover in the title game. Didn't happen. He goes on and he's able to beat the Bengals and gets his W and gets the ring. And Aaron Donald gets the ring and he gets to celebrate and end his story. But man, Sue was, don't go back and watch those games. Sue was dominant. He was one of those guys that I think that with a sense of like kind of one of those guys where once he kind of sensed that Stafford was going to be the guy and his money wasn't going to be right, kind of one of those me first kind of players. I get that. But I think if you would have activated him, if you would have engaged him, if you would have been somebody that would have brought him and said, hey, you're our guy. We're going to build around you. We're going to wreck the league. And we support you and give you the support, kind of like Brad Holmes did for Jared Goff. If Martin Mayhew said, hey, you're our guy. We believe you are going to take us to the promised land. You, Sue, and you, Quinn, Slay, focus on the defense. Defense wins championships. You could have built something in that regard. But maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, I've been saying it for a decade. Never really a fan of Stafford. Was happy he was gone. He got us Jared Goff and some picks. And Brad Holmes is a mastermind to turn it into a lot of great offensive players and the reason why they're winning today. But again, to recap, short 30 minutes today. Just wanted to get on and share these opinions before I get after it and do other things. But bad luck for the Detroit Lions. It's unfortunate. I just can't believe that's what happened. That's the first couple stories is Levi Onwuzurike, Josh Pascal are on PUP lists. Tate's not even signed yet. I don't think he's signed yet at the time of this recording. Thank you for the 300 of you paying attention to me. It means a lot to be able to fire it up, to be part of it. I'm greatly looking forward to this weekend. Again, you can find the hub of where our videos are at is at si.com/NFL/Lions. You can see on the ticker. That's where all the premium content goes, the website. My job is to promote the website. But the YouTube has been great. The ability to go live, to take the same videos that we're producing and putting it on the website, which goes all over the world. I guess you're seeing my face all over on the sporting news, on all the websites that have sports. You might see some of my videos. I'm grateful to OnSI for being one of the best partners and showcasing our videos. But the YouTube channel is growing nicely. Almost 3,000 subscribers. Like, subscribe, comment. You will get access to me directly. And then a Detroit Lions Insider. I'm the one answering all the messages, enjoying the conversation with all of you in the chat. I appreciate it. Even those overseas as well that check in. All my friends across the landscape there. More merch. Maybe I will produce more of those hats. Right now, the hats have gone to family and friends. Maybe I'll produce a little bit more. If you guys like, subscribe, comment, some YouTube dollars, maybe we'll go towards creating more gear. But right now, it's just for friends and family. But maybe if I see you at Allen Park, some Detroit Sports Podcast gear will show up. But thank you guys humbly. 300 people at 5 o'clock rush hour to check into the dock. I really do appreciate it. Again, I'm just one of you and just somebody that passionate about the NFL, passionate about the Lions. One before I die is the mantra. And I'm not a part-time video guy. Been doing it strong on video since 2019. Learned quickly that video was going to be important. And I just turned the love of podcasting into video podcasting. And I'm like, okay, it's not A+ in terms of what I look like, but hey, I think you guys are entertained by it. At least understand that, hey, that guy will speak his mind, tell the truth, defend his opinion, and we can have civil conversation and water cooler talk. So that's my time. Those are my thoughts. Sue, what would have happened if they paid you? Defense wins championships. But great conversation makes it fun to be a sports fan and an NFL reporter. Thanks, guys, for checking in. Let me know your thoughts. I'm genuinely curious what you think. Maybe you can change my mind. I'm always of the opinion. I have opinions, but great comments and great debates can maybe change my mind. Maybe one day someone can get me to respect what Matthew Stafford did, but not today. Hell no. Sue, appreciate you. See you guys. Thank you. Check in with Detroit Lions on SI for daily highlights, videos, analysis, what the hell's on my brain, and opinions, and the great staff work of Christian and Vito and Emmett. Great stuff coming ahead. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Comment. I appreciate you guys.